This picture shows the hot water supply line under a sink. Currently there is a water leaking issue with the iron T fitting due to corrosion. It needs to be replaced with a new brass T. In addition, this supply line uses an old-style corrugated multi-turn shutoff valve. This valve is outdated and needs to be replaced with modern quarter-turn ball shutoff valve and braided stainless steel faucet supply line. The iron nipple fitting and water hammer arrestor will also be replaced. You can see water is leaking out of the iron T fitting. Water is coming out through a hole. This hole is most likely caused by corrosion. Iron pipes are susceptible to rust and corrosion, especially when exposed to water and oxygen, which can lead to leaks and potential contamination over time. Brass or copper fittings are much better choices for faucet lines due to their superior corrosion resistance and durability. This is an old-style multi-turn shutoff valve with its flexible, corrugated metal tube. The valve and the corrugated tube are integrated as a single unit and permanently attached to each other, which design is not convenient for performing maintenance. The corrugated metal tube, often made of thin brass or stainless steel, can weaken over time, leading to leaks. Today, I would like to replace this old-style corrugated shutoff multi-turn valve using a quarter-turn ball valve and a separate flexible braided stainless steel supply line. First, close the main water shutoff valve to the home. Open the lowest faucet in the home. Open the highest faucet in the home, like an upstairs sink. This helps release trapped air and allows water to drain completely. Remove this clevis strap so that there is more clearance around the shutoff valve. Disconnect the water hammer arrestor from the iron T fitting. Loosen this nut and try to disconnect the corrugated metal tube from the nipple fitting. Now the nut is removed, but it is hard to pull the corrugated metal tube away from the nipple fitting. This connection is stuck, probably due to corrosion or mineral buildup. In this case, I decided to leave it as it is and work on other connections. Loosen the connection between the iron T fitting and the faucet line above. Remove the shutoff valve. Now the valve can be pulled off the copper tube. Next step is to remove the fasten nut and ferrule from the copper tube. To do that, I need to remove the pivot rod to get more space for using the puller. This is the compression sleeve puller for removing the nut and ferrule from the pipe. Use the puller to remove the nut and ferrule from the copper pipe. Clean the copper tube surface using the 400 grit sandpaper. Right now, the surface of the copper tube is very clean and smooth. This is a new quarter-turn ball shutoff valve. Compared to multi-turn shutoff valve, it seals better and lasts longer and needs less maintenance. Put the new valve onto the copper tube but don't tighten it. I prefer to install the other parts of the line so that I can figure out the best orientation for the outlet fitting of the valve. Clean up the thread on the faucet line. Clean the inside of the faucet line. Wrap Teflon tape around the thread. 3 to 4 turns are sufficient. Put pipe dope onto the threads. Install the new brass tee onto the faucet line. This is a new water hammer arrestor. Put Teflon tape onto the threads. Put pipe dope onto the threads. Install the water hammer arrestor onto the new brass T-fitting. This is a new brass nipple fitting. Wrap Teflon tape around the threads. Put pipe dope onto the threads. Install the brass nipple onto the brass T-fitting. Wipe off the extra pipe dope. This is a new braided stainless steel water supply line. Connect it to the brass nipple fitting. Hand tighten first and use a wrench to snug it up slightly. Now I can figure out what is the appropriate orientation for the outlet fitting of the shutoff valve. Remove the nut and ferrule from the outlet compression fitting in order to connect to the braided stainless steel supply line. Put the ball valve back onto the copper pipe. Hand tighten the compression fitting. Screw the angle compression stop wrench onto the outlet fitting of the ball valve. Make sure it is hand tightened. Make marks on the two sides of the compression fitting to monitor the tightening angle. Make sure the outlet fitting is pointing to the correct direction, and then tighten the nut using the wrench. Usually it needs to be tightened by 1/4 to 1/2 turn after hand tighten. Now it is tightened by 1/4 turn. I would like to test the leak. Make sure the ball valve is closed. Slowly open the main water shutoff valve to the home. There is some water leaking out and it needs to be tightened further. Wipe off the water near the compression fitting. Wait for several minutes and check the leak. If there is still a leak, tighten the compression fitting further. Repeat this process until there is no leak anymore. In my case, the leak stops at 1/3 turn. Unscrew the angle compression stop wrench off the ball valve fitting. Connect the braided stainless steel supply line to the ball valve. Tighten this compression fitting using a wrench. Open the ball shutoff valve. Right now, all the connections are leak tight. Install the pivot rod and make sure it is connected to the sink pop-up stopper. Hand tighten the pivot nut. Make sure the sink pop-up stopper can be controlled by the pivot rod. Tighten the pivot nut further using a wrench. Install the clevis strap. Make sure the sink pop-up stopper can be controlled by the lift rod handle. Thanks for watching this video. If you find it helpful, please subscribe to my channel. Good luck with your project.